Mike is. Go ahead, Landon.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. This is week 12 of our lesson series, and I'm going to take a little bit of a similar but different approach. I'm going to try and tie in these next 3 weeks very similarly. I'm going to go over it in this next slide, but to get started this week, we're going on building the foundation, right? I've noticed in my previous live streams, lessons, whatever, they go over a lot of great key points, but it's not really like down in a condensed format that it's like step-by-step process that I think everybody should follow to build the foundations of reaching a profitable mindset, right? Because we have to achieve that before we can actually see any of the rewards on our financial basis, right? So getting straight into it, I'm going to go over, and it's a little backwards. You got to read it from right to left just so you know what I'm starting with. So starting all the way down with watching and waiting. That's where I want people to start first. Whether you are in the markets or have been in the markets for several years, a year, whatever, several months, or you're brand new to it, I would say if you're not making money, you have to start here. Even if it may feel like you're starting over, start here, right? This is where you're going to be sitting back, just watching the markets, right? And I'm going to go over this more in the next slide, but then more than just watching it, build the mindset that you're waiting. You're not just looking for any setup that fits your rules. You're waiting for the setup that fits every part of your rules, right? And maybe there's one thing that's missing on this setup, don't take it. Maybe there's something that you don't like on the next one, don't take it. That's the waiting part of it. Watching, staying objective, and then waiting, making sure we're waiting for the proper setup. After that, once we've gotten that down, the goal with that is to get a rule-based strategy that's very mechanical as possible, where you're not having to add any subjectivity to it, and that's where we get into specifics, right? So when we write up those rules, as we talked about early on into this lesson series, it's very important to be as specific as possible when writing a strategy, because without it, you're going to be left to your own devices to make little minor changes here and there, and that's going to mess up your long-term profitability, because we no longer have a set win rate or a set R to R that we can gather over enough data, right? It's not going to be the same every day or every week or every month, but with enough data, we can predict it pretty well. And then after that, I want to move into risk management. And the reason I save this for last, as far as building the foundation, is because I don't want you to think about it as just having the same risk every time, right? That's important, right? But that's going to be included in the watching and waiting, right? Your set amount that you place a trade, like how much you risk, that should be in your rules, right? When I talk about risk management here, I'm more so saying, okay, are you going into the markets fully ready? Meaning, like, are you going into it tired? That's the most easy example. Are you going into the 9:30 open tired? If so, you're not going to be at your best. You're not going to be able to place those trades with the same level of cognitive ability, and that's just not putting things in your favor. Risk management is mitigating anything that is not in your favor. Now, this does tie into having the actual money and the funds part of it, but something that I've done, and I'm going to show you in just a second, is instead of just tracking whether it was a win, a loss, or a break even, or how much it won, specifically, how much did I spend in commissions? How much did I want to make? What was my target? How much did I lose? Like, things like that. And I'm going to click on this real quick. It shouldn't mess anything up. In reality, we're still streaming it, right?
Yep, you are good.
Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to show this real quick. This is something new I started in the new year. You can see it started on January 13th. That was my first trading day of the year. And you'll notice some days are missing. Those were days I just couldn't get to my laptop, couldn't trade. And when I say specific risk management, right, this is what I'm talking about. This is the target area. You can see I have one for all my accounts, right? We'll just go over this one because it has the most data on it right now. So this is the target. This is, if I back tested my strategy, this is what I would write down it would make. This is in a perfect world. How much did I lose? How much did I make? What did I, what about the break evens? Right? This is no commission, nothing. That's a perfect world. Once you've graduated into a point of, and I'll go back here, remember, we've watched and waited in the markets, we've built a specific strategy, now we're moving into the specifics of what our trading looks like live, you incorporate something like this. So this next one is exactly how much I made on the trades. And you can see it comes out to a negative 61.5. On here, it should be break even. So on this specific account, I'm actually down, and then I can go back and say, oh, well, it's because I had a computer issue on this trade and this trade where this one should have been break even, this one should have been a little higher. I can't do anything to change that. I just have to accept it as fact. But then that tells me, okay, well, whenever I move into taking trades, forward, I need to be more prepared. I made a mistake there, and I've done better to remedy it here. You can see I took a little heavier of a loss here. That's not crazy, $16. But then we move over here. These are my other 3 accounts. These ones make up for these losses. This is another form of risk mitigation. If you have your accounts spread out over multiple and not just sizing in on one big account, instead using, 4 smaller ones, things like these little technical malfunctions will be made up by over here. Instead of being at what would be break even on the back tested results, oops, sorry. As you can see here, I am actually up 55.68 on this account over the back tested results. And then you add in this one, we're up 113, add in this one, we're up 137. So across 3 accounts, we're up 137 in what I call extra profit, right? I could come up with something fancier, but I'm going to call it extra profit, because that means my goal is just to be at break even, but instead I'm $137 over that. So this 137 makes up for this over here. And again, remember, this is all my money, right? I'm just separating them for risk management. It's all going into one bank account, right? Hopefully that makes sense, so that if I make a mistake on this account over here, I can save it hopefully over here. But if I start to make mistakes everywhere, it's going to hurt me even more. So again, I'm going to drop the blank PDF for this. I might clean it up a little because this one's a little messy, just so you guys can copy your trades. And it's just as simple as whatever your target area is, that is how much you should in your head be risking every single trade. It should stay the exact same every time. If it's break even 0, if it's a loss, subtract whatever your risk is. If it's a win, whether it's 1R, put in whatever it is, 2R, put in whatever it is, right? Easy enough. And then the realized side, put in exactly what you made or lost on that trade. Easy enough. And we'll come back over here. I'm going to pop this back up. There we go. And then again, this all feeds into confidence. This is not, I can't stress this enough, this is not to get you to make money, right? Hopefully you are, but it's not to get you there, right? By the end of this, if you're able to, by the end of these next 2 more weeks, 2 or 3 more weeks, I haven't decided. If you're able to make a little bit of money, great. But really by the end of it, I just want everybody to say, okay, I have my strategy. I know what I'm going to risk. I track my trades every single day. I place the trades the same way every day. That's it, right? It's only 3 weeks that we're going over this, but then we want to apply this to the next 30 to 90 days, okay? And that's where the confidence lies in. After that break-in period, that's when we hope to see some success, right? I can, if you've already read it, it's kind of what I said in that little speech bubble there. But moving on, this is what we're starting with. Week 1, watching and waiting. Now, watching does not mean that we're placing trades. It means that we are literally sitting there on TradingView or whatever, desktop chart watcher you want to use. You watch the charts. You're not placing trades. This is to remain as unbiased as possible. When we are looking at strategies to develop, or if you already have one, ways to make it less subjective and more objective, meaning more mechanical, we're looking for things like that. We cannot be placing trades. If we're placing trades, that's going to bring the emotions into the mix, and now we are harming ourselves when we move on to the next step, because the next step is making sure there's no subjective decisions. But if you have any emotions on writing your strategy, it's just going to make it that much harder to follow it. Okay, and then waiting. Get those rules set and practice. Just practice. Okay, hey, I'm going to risk, what I did personally was I went to crypto and I risked $1 a trade or less if I could, right? Just, it was the same amount, whatever I was risking, so that I, could get practice in for the risk management part of it, but it was very, very low, so that I knew, hey, even if I get lucky and win this trade, it doesn't matter. All that matters is I follow my rules. So if I don't follow my rules and I get a great trade, that's going to be like $4. So it's not worth it, right? So I might as well spend this time risking low, follow my strat, and see, does it work? That's what we incorporate: the watch first, and then start to apply, wait for those setups. If you can't, consistently wait for your setups with the amount that you're risking, you need to lower it. We cannot enter this thing risking far more than we are mentally capable of, okay? This is why most traders fail. They get anxious before they get into a trade, or after, or while they're in the trade, and that's where the money's lost. It's not because your strategy doesn't work. It's not because you're not there psychologically, you're not smart enough. It's none of that. Most of the time, like 90% of the time, it's none of that. It is you get anxious when you're in the trade because you weren't prepared beforehand, and now you've decided to get out early, wait too long to get out, size in too much. Like, any of these factors come from emotion, and our goal is to mitigate those before moving on to the next step, okay? Excuse me. Threw this one in here just because I wanted to really hone in on the point, do not be the most, be the best. Think about what most traders are doing. We talked about this last week, how going into the actual TA side of it, the technical analysis side of it, when you're looking at the charts, oh, hey, this is where the buyers are entering, or this is where the sellers are entering, right? Things like this, or this is where their stop losses are. That's great. That's thinking about what they're doing in hopes to do the opposite, because we know most retail traders fail. But this drives that point even further, is to say, ask yourself, how many of the people you know are going to risk $1 a trade or less for several months just so that they can get the practice of using the same strategy every day? It's very few people, because you get into this game to make a lot of money in a short amount of time. So by risking a very small amount of money over a long period of time, you're doing the exact opposite of why everybody gets into this game. And that's what makes it worth it, because after you get through that, you can move into risking a little more and a little more, and you have the prerequisite habits of trading the same strategy. Now you can start to build your account, and you can see the power of compounding it over time without losing that money, okay? And again, Trading the Zone. This is one of the first books. I don't believe if I went over this last week, but this was one of the first trading books that I went over and read. Currently, I'm reading his, I believe it was actually the prequel to this book. It's called The Disciplined Trader. I haven't gone through that one, but this is what I read first. I highly recommend everybody reads this. He goes very deep into the trader psychology of why it's important to be an emotionless trader and how to achieve that. He also goes into other life skills, such as managing loss, right? When you do take a loss, how do you react to it? And how can you build the habits to get better about reacting to it, to a point where you eventually don't react to it at all, right? But more than that, at the end of the book, he gives you a step-by-step guide on what he recommends going from 0 to consistently profitable in essentially the same way I'm doing this. A lot of these lessons I am basing off my notes from this book, with a little bit more personal anecdotes, just to kind of give it a little bit more of a modern edge, right? Because he wrote this book several years ago. I can kind of help you guys more when I talk about the prop firm side of things when it comes to sizing in risk, or, for example, using crypto to risk $1 per trade. He would not recommend that just because it didn't exist at that time. So he has some other options that kind of involve paper trading, right? But I believe you should have some risk if you're going to grow into risking more rather than nothing to something. Hopefully that makes some sense. But overall, the message from this book is what has enabled me to create these lessons and build this structuring of a foundation to a profitable trader. But if you have free time, I know Reality has a free PDF. Go through, read that. You DM him or whatever you need. I have it as well. I can send it to you. Yeah, no, I'm going to stop it there. And okay, cool. So those are all the slides, but I did want to take a second. I'm going to go back here real quick. Excuse me, Reality, I'm going to pause for a second. Anybody got anything in the chats? I know I was kind of going pretty fast there. I didn't mean to, but, is there anybody else? Anybody ask anything?
Anybody got any questions, guys? So far, nothing. Crown said good morning, or good afternoon, Landon. That's all we've got over on YouTube. I think somebody waved over here on the Discord. I can't see those messages, so you have to grab them, but I think somebody did. I came across my OBS.
Oh, you have just a hello from Abdul.
Anybody got any questions, guys? Anything?
Yeah. And again, feel free to ask anything. But like I said, I went through that pretty fast, just because this whole slideshow was kind of just this week's kind of just to get an understanding of what I plan to do in these next few weeks. But again, if you guys are in here, and I'm going to edit this down into another short form video like I did last week's, just so I can kind of get this out to more people. But the main focus, really the main focus for this, is to now take the things and the topics that I've gone over the last 11 weeks on these live lessons and hone them down into a finite group of step 1, step 2, step 3, and so on, to get you guys from, hopefully, maybe you're not on step 1, maybe you're on step 2 or step 3, but you just aren't sure how to get to step 4. That's the biggest problem most traders have, is they get to a point where they've moved past, oh, that doesn't make sense, so let me do this, and then this, and then this, and they get better and better, and they hit a wall. I hit a wall for over a year, and that wall was just not understanding the power of consistency. I couldn't understand why it was so important to stay consistent with something, when if I just learned more about it, I could get better at it, right? That makes sense to the human mind. But when you factor in that the market can't be predicted, it just can't, you now have to take it from approach of, okay, well, if I know I have to lose, how can I mitigate the losses and accentuate the winners? And that's what this is going into, because you have to have winners to ensure that you can accentuate them, and you have to understand how to manage your risk management, have them tracked, show like the spreadsheet I showed. How are you going to get better about mitigating your losses if you don't even know what your losses really are? If your spreadsheet, hopefully you have a spreadsheet, if you don't, you're messing up there. But if you have just win, loss, break even, loss, like if that's all you have, you don't know what you're actually taking. You don't know if your commission's over a certain amount and it's actually losing you money, right? So you could get to the end of a month and say, man, this is a great month. I made a lot of money, but my account's barely over break even. What happened? Well, you don't have any data to look back and say, oh, this is what happened. Oh, I woke up late, so I missed this trade. Oh, I woke up late, I wasn't really ready, and I only sized in for half a position, right? Well, I just wasn't all the way there, so one of my accounts got filled, but the other one didn't because my order wasn't set at the right level. Like any number of these things can happen, and the thing that kills day traders is you don't get to try again until tomorrow. You get today. If you miss the trade, now you want to make it back real quick, but you're not going to because it's not your setup, right? So that's where the patience comes in, waiting for the proper setup. That's why I'm starting with that, because you only get one shot a day, hopefully, most likely. I mean, I won't say hopefully, but most likely you're only getting 1 to 2 or 3, trades a day, but even missing one of those probably will affect your bottom line. If it's a loss and you missed it, so be it. Cool, you got out lucky, right? That is what it is. But if you have a winning strategy and you miss trades, odds are you're going to miss winners, and that will affect your bottom line, right? You just kind of see what I'm saying? I'm going to pause for a sec. I see Abdul, he had a question. He said, as a beginner in crypto, what do you think I should focus on? I'll be honest, it is up to you, right? It depends on your trading style, because crypto can be traded in so many ways, whether you want to try and trade the pumps, right? I don't recommend buying into a pump before it happens, because that's been shown to work very seldom, if ever, other than the people who are, know beforehand. But there was a strategy that I traded a while ago where you would set alerts on as many crypto coins as possible on TradingView, wait for it to pump to a certain point, consolidate at that high level, and then try and short the break back down. It's been a while since I've traded that, so I don't remember the specifics, but just as a general idea, kind of short the liquidity back down after those buyers have sold off their positions. That's one way. Or if you have the ability to, get onto high leverage crypto accounts, you can day trade it through Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana, like any of these large cap crypto coins, which mainly Ethereum and Bitcoin. I know I don't trade crypto that often, so I may be off on that, but I'm pretty sure those two are pretty secure when it comes to day trading it or swing trading it. It just kind of depends. Do you want to be more active in the market? Do you want to be on the computer all day waiting for alerts, right? And then it also comes back down to risk. How much money do you have? How much can you size in for? Thankfully, with crypto, you don't need much to risk. You don't need much to trade. Other assets like stocks, if you're in America, that can prove to be a very big challenge because you need 25,000 minimum to day trade it. Options, they're interesting. I'll say that. I'm not a fan of them, but you know, again, there's a lot of different pathways. Yeah, I'm not. they're interesting, but again, reality. We got anybody else?
I don't see anything else. Anybody got any other questions, guys?
All right. Well, not a problem. Like I said, this one was not so much as like an educational one. I just kind of wanted to put this one out here, and I'm going to edit this one down into a short form video if you guys do want to go over any of the things that I did talk about. But please stay tuned because the next 3 to 4 or 2 to 4 weeks, we'll say, you know, like I said, I haven't decided yet how many I want to do. They will be focused on, one more time, these specific routes, right? I went a little bit over watch and wait, but we're going to do another one next week, and I'm going to give more tips on in the books that I've read on how to get better at just not feeling the urge to place a trade, or, you know, FOMO, the fear of missing out, right? How to mitigate those feelings and then get better at just defining a strategy for what it is, not just saying, well, you know, this works because it worked a few times this week. It's going into details of how I back test, how I decide whether a strategy works for me, right? Going into the mental state of people. You know, everybody thinks a little differently. Some people are okay with taking on a lot of losses. A lot of people are not. So it's going to be more difficult if you're not, but you have to tailor a strategy around those feelings. So again, we'll get into that more in these next weeks. Oh, I see, Crown. Sorry, are you sharing a blank version of the Google Sheet? I will, yes. Anybody in the live streams, if you're not in the Learn Trade Win Discord server, please join. It'll be under my personal channel. It's Chef's TA. I'll just, you know, I'll leave a notification for it as well. You can go in there. I'll do that sometime later today. It might just take me a little bit after we shut this down, but it will be blank. Yes, you're welcome, Crown. And I'll go ahead. I'll share a couple other blank spreadsheets that I have because, you know, some people they don't want to do it the exact way I have, and I have a few outlines that people might like a little more. So, but anyways, I think we'll call it their reality as long as we don't have anybody else asking any questions.
Nope, that is it. Yeah, Crown moved over from Discord to or from YouTube to Discord so he could ask over here so you could see it, I think.
Gotcha, fair enough.
I don't see anything else. As always, Landon, I appreciate it. You did a great job, as always.
Thank you, sir. Here, I see. Yeah, sorry, getting used. Oh, okay, nothing. All right. Yes, thank you. Thank you guys for joining me. Again, like I said, check out the videos that have been posted recently on the LTW or Learn Trade Win YouTube channel. I've been working on getting those, you know, better and better, just watching how people react to them. And then this one within the next week or so will be edited down and you'll have another one published, and, you know, so on and so forth. But thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you all next week, same time and deal, Thursday at 1:30. Have a great day, guys.
All right. Thank you, Landon.
See ya.
All right, guys. If you don't have anything else from me, go ahead and end it too. Appreciate each and every one of you for showing up. And as always, guys, stay consistent out there.